Welcome to Law You Should Know. The law affects every aspect of our lives, our home, our jobs, and our recreational activities. Now you can learn about the law and how to protect yourself against the loss of your liberty or property. Learn how to stand up for your rights and seek compensation when you have been wronged. Your host for Law You Should Know is attorney Kenneth J. Landau with the Mineola Law Firm of Shane, Dox, Denisi, and Corker. He's a member of the Committee on Professional Ethics of the Bar Association of Nassau County and counsel to the Nassau Academy of Law. And now, here is your host for Law You Should Know, attorney Kenneth J. Landau.
Hi, this is Ken Landau, and welcome to Law You Should Know. Today, we have as our guest Anthony W. Crowell, and he's the Dean and President and Professor of Law at New York Law School. And he's going to give us a profile and overview of New York Law School. Dean, welcome to Law You Should Know.
Thanks so much, Ken. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you and your listeners this evening.
And I should mention that before he became the Dean, he was involved in high levels of government in New York City, including working for Mayor Bloomberg and at the Assistant Corporation Council, in addition to many publications and scholarly articles. And he's also tried to establish New York Law School as the Law School of New York, and of course it is in the center of New York and is promoting its public interest law programs. Dean, tell us about let's take a step back and tell us about the history and the origins of New York Law School.
Sure, happy to do so. And I appreciate the concept that you put forward for your listeners. It's a great thing to educate the listening audience not only about legal issues, but on the history of law as well as what is going on in legal education today. So that's for New York Law School. We're one of the oldest law schools in the state and one of the oldest law schools in the nation. We were founded in 1891. We recently celebrated our 125th anniversary, the so-called Quasquicentennial. And we are a school whose origins are in Lower Manhattan. And at its founding, New York Law School was a place that was really dedicated to educating New Yorkers from all walks of life. It was one of the first schools in the city as well as the country to be opening its doors to immigrants, to members of racial minority groups, as well as in some later years, but still early for the period, to women. And today we are proud to have one of the most diverse law school communities anywhere. We have 60% of our class is women. We have more than a third of our students are racially or ethnically diverse, and a third of our students are first in their family to attend college. It's really quite an extraordinary community, one that is full of opportunity, full of rich perspectives, and one that is quintessentially representative of what we value as New Yorkers, which is our diversity, a richness of heritage, of understanding where we come from, and really a celebration of the immense potential that the city provides to everyone who comes to it. So it's an exciting place to be.
And your school also has students from all over the world and all over the country.
Sure, we have students from a number of countries, as well as across the United States. We have a good number of students, by the way, from California, from Texas, from Illinois, and of course Florida. And it's not surprising. As you had mentioned in the opening, we call ourselves New York's Law School. But New York doesn't just have 5 boroughs. There's really 6, and that 6th borough is Florida, in particular southern Florida. And we have a great number of students from.
And your school also has a unique location, and you're the heart of the New York legal community and many aspects of the government of New York, and of course the federal government as well.
Sure. So one of the nice things about our location is, as I said, we are the only law school in Lower Manhattan, and our roots are here dating back to 1891. We have occupied a couple of places, including the Equitable Building. Then later on, during our trajectory, we occupied the site that is now One Police Plaza. And after New York Law School left that area to make way for the construction of One Police Plaza, we situated ourselves in then, which was a very industrial Tribeca, which, as you know, today has been transformed into one of the premier neighborhoods of the city, in addition to being one of the really at the center of where everything comes together in terms of New York Civic Center. Obviously, it is the place, Lower Manhattan and the Tribeca area is where City Hall is located, where the municipal building, where municipal agencies are, but also state agencies, as well as the federal government. My office is quite interesting. As I speak to you, I'm looking out the window and looking at 26 Federal Plaza. I'm also looking at New York Supreme Court for New York County. I'm looking at the State Insurance Fund, and I can see the Woolworth Building, and I understand. And you know, there's a whole range of activity, and it's really the civic sector here, which is wonderful for us at New York Law School. But in addition to that, as you know, the downtown area is the home now to many in the tech industry, and while we're only steps away from Wall Street, well, 26 Federal Plaza is there in the morning to the east when the sun is rising. As the sun is setting, Citibank's world headquarters is located to our west, as is Goldman Sachs' headquarters. So it's really quite an interesting place for students, and we've really capitalized on the location and being the only school here because we've engaged in what I would label as a systematic integration of our academic program with experiential learning opportunities, meaning that we believe at New York Law School that we do some of our best work on the ground. And while it's critical that students have a fundamental and exceptional basis for understanding the law, the theory, the doctrine, it's also important for them to start applying what they're learning in the classroom in real-world settings, and we have a wonderful group of lawyers in all of these sectors dedicated to working with our students and ultimately hiring them and bringing them into their organizations to become leaders in the law and in business and beyond. So it's an exciting opportunity for us to really present a legal education to our students that is truly unique, truly New York. And there's no finer backdrop than New York City and what this economy offers and the opportunity to engage in meaningful service of people.
Okay, and we just have a number of topics we want to touch on, and time does go very fast. But very briefly, what are some of your admission process and requirements, and especially how it might be different than other law schools?
So we are a school that has a very deep commitment to ensuring that we give the broadest possible set of opportunities to students. So we have a traditional full-time day program and a program that's designed for working professionals in the evening. And so those are two separate cohorts who often attend classes together at convenient times, but they start out in different. The traditional program for day students is 3 years long. The evening program is 4 years long. And we have a robust recruitment effort for both. For the day program, many students come directly from college, and the majority of our students are students who have gone to college in or around the New York metro area. And then we have about a third of our students who come from outside the New York metro area. And for the evening division students, it tends to be students who have similarly attended an undergraduate school, but they have substantial work experience. They often are working in public service. They're working in financial services. They're working in law firms. They're working in a variety of settings, in media, in fashion, in in medicine. We have medical doctors in our program. We have accountants in our programs. We have nurses. We have police officers, firefighters, EMTs. We have corporate executives, and we have legal secretaries. We have paralegals, and we have government officials. It's really quite an extraordinary array of students who come to that program as well. And we, of course, in the traditional program, have a number of people who have substantial work experience, but have chosen to go to law school full time and leave those professional opportunities to the side during their time here. For the fall of 2019 class that starts, our application deadline is July 1st. For those who are at law schools and already in law school and want to transfer here, it's July 15th. And we expect there to be a class of roughly 385 coming in this year, which is a nice sized class, but it's highly competitive for admission. As you know, law school is competitive. We require students to complete a full application, including letters of recommendation, essays that are thoughtful as to why one wants to go to law school, reflecting on experiences that have led to their decision. We like to see students with experience, students with maturity, students who have a well-founded and well-grounded reason for wanting to be here. As I say to our students, and we have such a close-knit community and such a supportive community, we're all a community of colleagues. It's not a hierarchical place. It's a place where we really all work together towards one common goal, which is to produce the best graduates possible who go out and do meaningful things in all the different sectors, with a real focus on ensuring that regardless of the sector one chooses to go, and that there is a commitment and an obligation as lawyers that we work towards the ends of social justice and ensure that there's opportunity and fairness and access to justice in all that we do. So we are for our application, we require obviously someone to present to us their GPA. We look for an LSAT. Students should have taken the LSAT, and the LSAT is offered, I believe, 6 times a year. So there's opportunities for that. For this admission cycle, March 30th and June 3rd, our application is free. One of the things is, as a school that wants to present opportunities, we don't want a heavy expense for an application to be a barrier for someone to explore opportunities at New York Law School, and that's a nice thing. So it's a really robust admissions process. We often have students come in for interviews, but we want students who are very committed and serious, and who we think will use the opportunities we will give them to their fullest.
We have to take a short break now. When we return, we'll continue our discussion of New York Law School, especially various unique programs and curriculum concentrations there. You're listening to Law You Should Know here on 90.3, the voice of Nassau Community College, and also over the internet at nccradio.org. We'll be back in a moment.
This portion of programming on WHPC is brought to you on behalf of the Nassau County Bar Association, who wants you to know about ADR, Alternate Dispute Resolution, which can help you avoid costly, lengthy, and uncertain litigation in court. By resolving disputes through mediation or arbitration, it gives you control over who decides your case. A mediator helps all parties to reach an agreement they can live with, or an arbitrator selected by the parties hears and decides the case. Your attorney can still represent you, but you control who decides your case. ADR is faster and less stressful than fighting in court, and it is a great way to resolve divorce, employment, or commercial disputes. ADR is now offered through the Nassau County Bar Association. Find out more about how ADR can help resolve your dispute by calling 516-747-4070 or visit nassaubar.org.
Once again, we continue with Law You Should Know. From the Mineola Law Firm of Shane, Dox, Denise, Corker, and Sauer, here is attorney Kenneth J. Landau.
Hi, this is Ken Landau, and welcome back to Law You Should Know. We're talking with Dean Anthony W. Crowell of the New York Law School about what's happening at New York Law School, which is the law school of the city. Dean, just tell us, you told us about some of the background of New York Law School, but what unique programs and concentrations in terms of curriculum are there at the school?
So as New York's law school, as we've said, we call ourselves, one of the things that we feel is really important is to ensure that we contextualize the academic program here through the lens in which the students will engage in practice. And so our curriculum, and we call our curriculum Think Big, B-I-G, and of course in New York everything is big, and you have to think big to do big things. But big is an acronym. The B is for a focus on business and financial services law. The I is for intellectual property, media, technology, and applied science. And the G is for government and public interest. And when you look at those three areas of the law, which I think we can all agree are very much so interrelated, interdependent, you paint the picture of the modern New York economy and therefore the modern global economy. And what we want students to be able to do is to understand and contextualize their education with the locally available opportunities that give them that global on-ramp, that allow them to practice anywhere in the U.S. or internationally. We really live in a transnational world, and so we want our students to be able to navigate different settings and different environments readily by applying their education broadly. So we have a real commitment to those areas, and each of those areas are doing very unique and interesting things. In our business and financial services area, we are very aggressively looking at issues concerning the very fast evolution of cryptocurrencies and financial technology. Also looking how the legal services industry is radically transforming through the use of technology with such things as blockchain. Concerns about how contracts are to enter into, procurement issues, things like that. The financial services compliance, ensuring that there are a ready-made set of opportunities for students to understand how lawyers play a critical role in protecting the economy and safeguarding consumers when it comes to banking practices. So there's a broad range of corporate business and financial services programs. In our IP and privacy program, we really are looking at the innovation economy and all the things that that we must do as lawyers to support the growth and innovative spirit that we as New Yorkers and as Americans enjoy, and whether that be through the development of software technology, whether it be through protecting innovations such as pioneering cancer drugs. Those are all things that are important, and students need to understand the various contours of that. Privacy is one of the biggest areas that I think we can all agree is confronting individuals. Certainly, how our data is being protected, whether it be on our smartphones, whether it be our financial profiles, our social security numbers, our credit card numbers, all of that has the potential to go awry. There's so much information that we as individuals have out there, our digital footprint, and having privacy and ensuring that we are understanding the benefits and the limitations that technology gives to us and allows us to protect ourselves and to have a secure being is very important. And in government and public interest, fully a quarter of our students go into government and public interest jobs. We have students, as I said, who come from government, but many who return. We have, I believe, we have the largest number of New York Law School graduates present within the New York City Law Department. We're very proud of that. The Law Department is close by, but there's a real commitment to public service and the importance that we place on public service and government is something that cannot be understated. We have a Center for New York City Law that is a critical component of our thought leadership as well as our influence in ensuring that government practices are done fairly, that there's integrity, accountability, and transparency in them, and that we understand the implications of responsible legal stewardship when it comes to ensuring safe infrastructure and when it comes to ensuring that government decisions are being made in a way that maximizes public benefit. Similarly, in our public interest programs, we are very committed to ensuring that we are at the cutting edge of government reform initiatives, whether it be on bail reform, whether looking at criminal justice reform overall. Social justice is a critical component and a critical intersection for all of our programs. And we have a wonderful center called the Impact Center for Public Interest Law, as well as the Diane Abbey Law Institute for Children and Families. And we do a lot of work ensuring that our students understand the opportunities they have to help those who are most in need and to really serve as a critical bridge over that access to justice gap.
And these are issues being discussed and debated in the newspapers and the media every day.
Every day. And a lot of those discussions and debates happen here at the law school, but we seize on the opportunity to use the wider debates, whether it be in Washington, whether it be in Albany, whether it be in the city council. We use those opportunities to have our students engage and think about ways to solve problems, but also to engage as lawyers and to enter careers where they can make an immediate difference in the lives of people who need representation.
And beyond that, what opportunities do you offer for study abroad?
So we have a fantastic London program. You know, there's the phrase nylon, New York, NY, London, LON. And there is a wonderful sister city arrangement that obviously New Yorkers and Londoners enjoy, and we really capitalize on that. One of the things that I mentioned earlier is we really emphasize for our students that you can't look at any of the issues that I've been describing to you now as something that's domestic or international. We live in a global world, and issues really bleed over. What's happening here in many respects is cutting edge in the United States. New York City in particular has so many best practices, but a lot of our corporate efforts are really best practices. And other governments around the world or other corporate entities, other non-governmental organizations can learn from the example of what the Americans are doing. But it's also the case that there's so many extraordinary things going on outside the U.S. that we want our students to be able to not only contribute to those efforts, but to learn from them and bring those lessons back home. And we try to introduce our students to that through our London program, which in recent years really has had an increased focus on cyber crimes, on international data privacy, international intellectual property, but also international human rights and governance issues. It's really important for us to look at all those issues and to give students that perspective. It's interesting to us. You asked me earlier about our global footprint. You know, we have 38 different languages that are spoken inside the walls at New York Law School every day. That's as a result of so many wonderful immigrant families whose sons and daughters come here, but also because New York as the global capital really requires us to have a multilingual approach. And we really value that, promote that, and we take opportunities to find a niche or a placement for students to be able to use their language skills with their legal skills at the same time. And there's just an endless array of those opportunities, especially in immigration law, by the way, which New York Law School has one of the most robust programs in the city. And
we just have a few minutes left in the program. You have many famous graduates, but just take a few seconds to tell us about a few of them.
Oh, well, Judge Judy, class of 1965. We have Supreme Court Justice John Marshall Harlan II. Robert F. Wagner was the class of 1900. He was the chairman of the National Labor Relations Board, and then he was a U.S. Senator from New York from 1927 to, I think, 1949. The founders of many of the city's top law firms, including Proskauer Rose. We had New York's first Latino judge, Emilio Nunez, the class of 27. Our first black state senator, Julius Archibald, from the class of 30. Hank Greenberg, formerly the CEO of AIG and now the CEO of the Star Companies. He is class of 1950. Barbara Watson was a U.S. Assistant Secretary of State. We currently have the Chief of Staff to the National Security Council in the White House, Joan O'Hara, who's one of our alums.
Okay, and just tell us for a little bit about scholarships available at New York Law School.
Sure. So legal education can be expensive, and we are very committed to ensuring that we help our students manage their debt load because we have a very competitive application process. We also have put in place a competitive scholarship process that allows us to give merit and some need-based scholarships to students who would like to go to law school and need to find ways to defray the cost. And so there are scholarships that can be a few $1,000s to a full scholarship. And
if someone works in government, there are many ways to reduce or eliminate student loans as well.
Yeah, there is a loan forgiveness program for students who have student debt and who engage in public interest or public service work. Correct.
What are your final thoughts, and if there's any other future programs coming soon at New York Law School that you would like to mention?
So my final thoughts are there's no better time to go to law school than today. I say that because more than ever in my 48 years, there's never been a moment in time when legal issues have been as widely discussed as frequently as they are than today. For us, the law school has a broad array of programs every day, but coming up on March 8th, we have a terrific one, our 2019 New York Asylum and Immigration Law Conference, and that's on International Women's Day. It's an all-day conference that's co-hosted by the Federal Bar Association's Immigration Law Section. It's going to be held right here at New York Law School. And you have many conferences throughout the year about all issues at all levels of government, and all those issues. And the listeners should go to nyls.edu. Again, nyls.edu. They can follow us on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook. We are open 24/7 on all those channels. And our admissions number for those who are interested is an easy 212-431-2888. Okay, Dean, I would like to thank you for being our guest on Law You Should Know and giving us a profile of New York Law School and your many programs available to anyone who wants to become a lawyer or anyone who's interested in these cutting-edge issues affecting New Yorkers and others around the world. Please join us next week at the same time for another program on Law You Should Know. If you missed any part of this program, you can hear the podcast at no charge at nccradio.org.